I do believe we're live on all platforms. Welcome, Internet fam. I'm here today for a very special live broadcast. I know it's catching a few people off guard if you're lucky enough to be able to show up. But I figured since I started my Saturday live extremely late, almost didn't do it, but I had to come through. Um, I wasn't able to touch on a lot of stuff. I limited myself to the 1 hour that I could do after I was shut off one of the platforms because you only get like a 1 hour platform. So, but it was the other stuff I wanted to touch upon, like around my birthday, uh, the French had another coming of their revolution. This time they were running inside of Black Rock buildings with pitchforks and torches. And it was just after I had released the title song from Revolution the Musical. This is a thing from it. No, it's not. It's a snake button. But it's just like I just thought the timing was pretty crazy. Like it just I thought Americans seeing that those people running into the same villains that are ripping us all off would inspire America to be the next candidate for a revolution. Like we're obviously next in line. We got the most corrupt. We got like a crack addict in office. I'm not gonna call him a crackhead. I was wrong for calling him that. He does smoke crack with his family, but I also think he does that zombie fentanyl drug as evidence when he was talking to the president of Israel. But that's a whole nother video. But it's regardless if you think he's a crackhead or a smackhead, whatever. Everybody know he's corrupt. I was talking to some down the line Democrat voters. Like the people who would have been pressuring you to vote for anybody but Trump, 2016 to in 2020, and yeah, we were just talking. Someone made a comment like to one of the people in the group. They're like, "Oh, you should run for president," and she was like, "I don't know." And I just was like, "Oh, I don't think you could. She could do any better than Joe Biden. He's the greatest." Everyone just started laughing because they understood, even though they probably were guilting the fuck out of their friends to vote for Joe Biden, that Joe Biden is a disaster. Uh, oh, the only friend I know who like is still like, but fuck Trump in real life. I'm not talking about the people on TV. Is a friend who's like, he's getting paid from the big corporations as an activist, and I love him, but I don't think you can be an activist and get checks from your corporation. It's just, it, you know, I wish people could just be like, I'll take the corporation's money because they're taking our money, and I'm still gonna fight to put y'all out of business. But if you're still, yeah, Biden's cool. I don't trust you. Like we need a revolution. But like I said, I was expecting America to be the next on the chopping block for a revolution. I thought we were going to Black Rock, like France or whatever. However, we are not. It was recently announced that the military in Niger, country in Africa, they overthrew their corrupt government that was put in place by our government as well as France's government, and they're doing what they did to BlackRock in France, in the American and French embassies. So it's like they realized who the real villain is, and it was the people running their government, and they ran them out. And now they're holding the former president hostage, threatening to decapitate them if they don't get back some of their funding and all this stuff. And it seems like it could go either way because when you hear government coup d'état, you just you think of the many coups that we funded, like Venezuela when they were trying to overthrow their democratically elected government with military funded coup d'état, or like what was when Benz was taken out by Pinochet and Chile, and they started like killing people with these military juntas. But yeah, I initially was like torn, like which way, uh, who's the real bad guy? Until the U.S. stepped in, Antony Blinken offered his advice, or to the people, he was like, "Yeah, just stand down, put the leader that we put back in power, so we can continue to extort your country." Same from French leadership. Um, yeah, the villains are just like they all of a sudden care about the Nigeria's government for some reason. They didn't mention anything about the coup um, that took place in Ukraine back in 2014, um, because that was a coup that was in their favor. you know, Whoever Antony Blinken is for, I'm against, and vice versa. Um, just like anybody in our government. But I think we need to like have a best of both worlds situation where we learn from the French Revolution as well as the Niger Revolution. I like what the French did with um, running into BlackRock, the capital management firms, threatening them. But I also understand why Niger felt like it was necessary to bring their military in. Most of our military are people who are being exploited by the people at the top. I mean, I've been thinking for decades we should not have the ability to profiteer off of war. You shouldn't have someone who's making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars off of killing people. That's like a piss poor incentive structure. That just leads to a bunch of psychopaths who always want to be able to kill people, creating killer robots because it's profitable. The people at the top should make no more money than the people at the bottom. Like there should be a cap for the people at the weapons manufacturers, where they make no more money than the people at the bottom. The lowest paid person. So if you got like a starting rate for bringing soldiers in, uh, the person who just got in to the military, went through boot camp, and then they got killed in action. 2 months into the military, however much money they made that entire year, even though it was cut short, they made a fraction of the starting pay. That's how much like the people at the top should be able to max out at. They shouldn't be able to make millions and billions of dollars, because that incentivizes psychopathy. We're just like we could just recruit some of the most vehement racist serial killers, and we're just giving them the dream job where they kill people for a living and make ridiculous amounts of money from doing it. So the people at the bottom of that structure, um, yeah, if they were to run into BlackRock, we had a bunch of military people. They went into all of the big corporations that are extorting the American public, sending them to die in war, poisoning them, because both my parents worked at military bases that were knowingly exposing them and everybody who worked at the military bases to carcinogens that killed them. Um, yeah, if they ran into these corporations and overthrew these motherfuckers, there'll be no love lost. Right? This is like, you don't even have to run into the government to take out our leadership. You just run into the corporations that control the government. Um, and just like when Niger went into their former colonizers' embassies and just started overthrowing shit, our current colonizers are corporations. Um, because corporations are a tool used by colonial states to corrupt governments and to control their policies from afar. Like we don't know who's controlling our corporations. We assume they're benevolent job creators, but like people talk about how evil certain states are. Like Russia's bad, China's bad. All these corporations could be run by Russia and China, or Britain, or just random assholes who are domestic, who want to control our food, who want to control our medicine, and who want us to have nothing and be happy. you know, like Klaus Schwab is a legit Bond villain Nazi. Like you hear it in his voice and everything, and everything he says is horrible. Um, how does he have all this power? Because he controls some of the biggest companies, because he controls the purse strings. World Economic Forum. He has world leaders coming to him, begging him for advice. A fucking Nazi. But if we were to have our soldiers, the patriotic people who actually join the military, thinking they're going to be making the world a better place, instead of you getting in that system, being corrupted by it, putting a bullet in your brain, because like you realize you are a major contributor to the problem of everything in this world being evil. Instead of you like ending your own life, if you were to transition your rage from like random brown people who never heard of you, never thought about you until you started killing their family, and you just started like overthrowing the corporations running our government. Yeah, that's a surefire way to turn you into actual heroes, not just to Americans but to the rest of the world. So learn from Niger, because yeah, they just once the military got on board, everything else fell in line. And right now, you can see it's like a narrow window when the military can do something in America, because you can see they're creating fucking robots, and it's not like they're not even trying to like create the helpful robots like you saw in fucking iRobot, where they went over our trust. No, they're going straight to robots with flamethrowers and guns on them, like just like control robots. And they're creating those robots because they realize eventually the people in the military are going to catch on, and they're disposable. It's going to be us versus them, the corporations versus all of humanity. And the corporations, they got humans on their side doing their bidding. Now they got robots, right? Humanity, the corporations aren't going to take your side, right? They make it illegal for a corporation to help feed you or whatever. They don't. Their job is not to help you. It's to rob you, steal your money, and put it in people like Jeffrey Epstein's hands for money laundering. What up, pretty mouth Nate? Man, a lot of inspiration. I'm like looking to what's going on around the world. I'm actually inspired, because aside from the revolution taking place in Niger, it was just like a summit of a bunch of African nations. Russia, they had some Asian countries, and they were just talking about new ways forward, getting away from colonial powers like the United States and all of Europe. Um, and yeah, it's like a new path being forged. And yeah, I don't have much investment in the current U.S. dollar. That's why I'm so broke. It's like I don't believe in this money, so I refuse to have it. Um, and now it's just like, yeah, we're seeing the money uh, get turned to nothing. When you give the most worthless people in the world all of your currency, you then turn your currency worthless. Because the people who have it, they don't contribute anything to society, and those are the people who, they've been controlling policy, controlling everything. Rest of the world is waking up. I think it's a matter of time before the U.S. just says enough is enough. I think when you take out the feds, like at something like January 6th, I think the non-Fed people, they saw a crowd around the White House, and they were like, "Oh, is this the revolution? I think I'll partake." And then the feds, of course, they took it in the direction that was able to turn the crowd into villains. Um, and then the state turned all domestic um, fight back, domestic pushback into terrorism. You know, even though the physical dangerous ones, the violent ones, um, they were federal agents, and that's by design. You know, but a lot of that stuff is coming to light, so it's just uh, I'm like it's a lot of Congress hearings exposing what's been going on. A lot of stuff is just like no duh. I've been saying that shit for years, known it's been going on for all this time. I've known the government infiltrated social media for decades at this point, but now it's just like we're just getting confirmation. We're hearing it from the horse's mouth. Oh yeah, we've been silencing people. There's been like pushback to end that, but then there was a, a motion passed that prevented social media from getting orders from the government. I mean, yeah, they appealed that shit, and it's not looking necessarily good. But the fact that this stuff is coming out and people are waking up to interference by the government, it's obviously a good thing. It's definitely progress from 2014. That's when I lost my largest YouTube channel when I was supposed to be getting my 100,000 subscriber plaque. You know, when I was like, I made a video complaining about what was going on. I didn't even have the full story. It was after I made the video talking about my experience. Someone enlightened me to the super users on YouTube and how it was the Atlantic Council. They were shutting down all dissent if you said anything negative about police brutality, police harassment, which I had multiple videos getting popular off of. If you said anything critical of the police state, they were shutting you down. And before people critical of the police, they were shutting down like Palestinians who were showing that the Israeli occupiers were slaughtering kids, and they posted footage of Israeli looking bad, Israel looking bad. They got shut down. So it's just like, yeah, we had not only our own government interfering with our freedom of speech, but we had uh, other governments, governments that we are subsidizing with billions of dollars in taxes. And now it's just pretty much the same story. Now they just added Ukraine to the list of people who can silence American free speech. That's why I say I was born in America, definitely not an American. Americans have free speech, I'm told. Only Americans I know are corporations. They have all the rights that they say Americans are supposed to have, yet they don't pay taxes. We subsidize them through our taxes. So and they're also like run by the richest people in the world. Those are the people who should be paying all the taxes exclusively. Like they should be taxed out of billionaire status because right now they have enough power um, to silence all your rights, your freedoms that you're supposed to have. So that's why I say like if we learn anything from Niger, it should be that the military, you're supposed to be stopping all threats, foreign and domestic. Our biggest threat is not foreign, it's domestic, it's the corporations. So, and they're the ones robbing us, they're the ones that want you in poverty. Go talk to one of those zombies on the street. There's a good chance that they were in the military like you are, right? They were fucked over by their government, got PTSD, started using drugs, and then since our drugs aren't regulated, they turn to that zombie shit, and that is a glimpse at your future if you don't kill yourself for serving the machine, and if the machine doesn't kill you with one of those robot dogs with a flamethrower. So um, that is what we should be focusing on. That's what I would like to see. Hey Nate, what it do? Dayton. It's good to have a Dayton here. Not too big on Dayton currently, but you know when the money gets correct, we are too complicit in some shape or fashion, and too divided. That's why it's just I try not to get too caught up on that divisive shit, but it is hard because I got like the school I go to and work at, like just inherently the teachers think they're helping, or not just the teacher. There's one particular teacher who thinks she's definitely helping, but is usually making shit worse, causing more division. Um, like we were talking about, diversity in theater and just entertainment in general. And we had this really old white guy, and I don't know much about the cat. Like he just did like some Shakespeare or whatever, and then they're like, yeah, they used to be white guys exclusively, and then in controlling the industry, I can understand how you might want some diversity or whatever, but then she would just say some of the just most silly shit. So she'd be like, "Yeah, we're sick of hearing about these old cisgendered heteronormative males." I'm just like, what kind of shit? First, that sentence is just annoying on several levels. Because we would start the class off, 30 minutes, people going over their pronouns. First time I ever experienced that in school, and it's just like nobody can like keep the same pronouns for more than a week. It was just hard to keep up. I don't want to. I'll just call you by your name since it'll be so complicated to keep up with your pronouns. It wasn't even just like the stuff you heard, he, her, them, they. It was like dro. Someone had like Z's, and it was just like nah. It's just like it's just too complex, just too silly, right? Let me just call you by your name. I don't want to like keep up with the melodrama of you figuring out life. I don't want to fuck you. I don't want any part of what you got going on. I don't want to be thinking about anything to do with sex. I think it's just like we live in a hypersexualized society, and the fact that they're doing this shit in school, because they're also doing it in like not just college settings, but like elementaries. So it's like I've encountered kids who are just like that's how they introduce themselves, and it's just like you haven't even hit puberty. What the fuck are you talking about? You know. But yeah, and it's just like it's all meant to divide, and it's just like yeah, just none of that shit matters. I don't give a shit about your pronouns. What are your verbs? Are you about uniting, overthrowing? We coming together. We're gonna make something big happen. We're gonna get rid of these masters, overlords, landlords. Really, I'm never gonna call anyone lord. You're a human being. You're not a landlord. You're an apex parasite. Uh, like you need to stop being subsidized to the tunes of billions of dollars. Like there should be no fucking way in hell that a corporation is able to own property that we have to live in. We have to pay a corporation to avoid going homeless. That's why we're seeing our rents artificially raised, property prices going up. It's because these corporations are bloodthirsty. These are the criminals that we should have locked up back in 2007, 2008, when they ran the mortgage crisis. One second, I do got like my gimbal went out, so if you're on Rumble, it's probably looking a little shaky. And yeah, so there we go. It was the best show on online, best angle. No, it just went down. But yeah. But yeah, definitely come together. That's why when the Beatles they didn't just release Revolution, they also had to have Come Together because that's a big part of the revolution. We gotta stand united, and that's why, I mean, shit. If you go check out Revolution the musical, pretty much every song is about uniting. Um, and when it comes to a town near you, I'll let you know. What do you think will be the future? I think everything is going to come full circle. Um, I like to believe we're going to come full circle. If you're talking about full circle French Revolution style, Anne Marie or Anne Boleyn, um, yeah, I could see that. Talking about Tea Party style, no taxation without representation. We start like locking up the drug addicts in the White House. Yes, I think everyone knows something is wrong with our country. Right, and we know that the solutions that they pitch, voting for the lesser of two evils, it's not real. The lesser of the two evils is the worst evil that they could come up with, and then it's the worst evil because not only is it evil on scales, um, I'm just going, 1 second, let's try this. Hoo-hoo. All right. Yeah, I gotta do. All right, let's see how that works. Yeah. All right. Yeah, but like I was saying, the lesser of the two evils is not just evil because it's evil on a scale that was unfathomable previously. Like we're objectively seeing things get worse since Trump left office. I'm no fan of Trump, but it's obvious Joe Biden was worse. Like I had this debate with a friend. He's like, you he thinks just because I'm saying Joe Biden is a piece of shit that I'm pro Trump. I'm like, no, no, no. I don't know why some people are just so obsessed with Trump, right? He's not in office, and Joe Biden is objectively worse. I mean, not just because shit has gotten worse since Trump left office, but before Trump got in office, for like 50 years, Joe Biden was a piece of shit. He wrote the 1994 crime bill. He's been like making this world objectively worse since he got into office, and that was way before I was born. Um, and it's just like the fact that Trump came around doesn't like take away all of his past evils. Like he's putting together bills with Strom Thurmond, a Klan member. Like the Klan highly endorsed Joe Biden. They love Joe Biden. That's why he feels so comfortable working around Ukrainian Nazis and funding biological weapons labs. He's an evil piece of shit. That's probably why his son has to smoke so much crack. Um, but yeah, it's just yeah, it's disheartening when people are just uh, um, so focused on Trump. I think those are the same people who are going to get us Trump, like the people who are pretending Joe Biden shit doesn't stink. I'm like, you have to address the elephant in the room. Democrats are horrible. Like, I mean, I enjoy a good amount of what RFK Jr. was talking about when it comes to like reining in corporate power and stuff. I'm not a fan of his butt sucking of Israel, but maybe that has something to do with his dad supposedly being killed by a Palestinian named Sirhan. A lot of people think that has something to do with Project MK Ultra. Uh, I'm one of those people who wouldn't put it past the CIA. But anyways, it could be something like that. But I know for a fact RFK Jr. Will not be the Democratic nominee, but I support him getting that message out there. As far as it's allowed. He's being censored by the Democrats. And matter of fact, if he somehow won the Democrats' nomination, I wouldn't trust him. I'd be like, wait, it's something I don't know about RFK Jr. If they actually allow him to run. I think what's going to actually happen is he's going to get fucked over. I would like to hope he learns from Bernie Sanders and he runs third party. Definitely, if you endorse someone like Joe Biden after trying to run this revolutionary campaign, all this shit, um, yeah, I'm just like he's an op. He was talking about his family's in um, the CIA. I would be convinced he's a part of it too. He was co-opted by the agency that killed his family members. But anyways, yeah. So it's just like when we talk about coming together, I think we all know Democrats aren't the solution. Republicans aren't the solution. But when the people who like vehemently who back up and support the Democrats and think that's going to be a solution, you people enable Trump supporters. And ironically, back in 2016, it was like they were saying the same shit uh, about me. Like I was like, I'm voting Jill Stein. Well, vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Trump, huh? It made no sense to me because there's no fucking way I'm voting for Hillary. Oh, and I was also called sexist for voting for Jill Stein because a vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Trump, and it was just like such convoluted logic. But that's what I was trying to help my homeboy understand when he just kept talking shit about Trump, and he wouldn't say shit about Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden is just doing dandy. I was like, yeah, you're gonna get Trump reelected. This is like you're enabling this supposed nightmare of yours. But I actually also know for a fact that RFK Jr. will not be the Democratic nominee. But could you imagine if he teamed up with Trump? No, here's what I think is going to happen. This is what I said as soon as Cornell announced he was winning. If RFK is not just put there to siphon energy into the Democratic Party and whoever the fuck they choose to nominate, if he's like legit serious about like achieving his objective of reining in the corporations, right? If he's serious about it, um, I wouldn't be surprised if he ran as vice president or Cornell West um, ticket, and that was their plan from the beginning. Because they got to know that they're going to do the same shit they did to Bernie, to RFK Jr. Right? If he's serious. Right, if they let him be the nominee, I'm just gonna assume that they got like some chip in him, and he's just gonna they're gonna do the kill switch. It's gonna be like, what is it? The Manchurian Candidate. They're gonna use a code word. They're gonna be like Black Olympia, and then he's just gonna turn into Joe Biden Senior or whatever. Um, but assuming he's serious, I assume that him in Cornell West, they were in on it, and the long term plan was for him to be the VP. That's why he was able to talk that shit about Israel. So the Israel lobby won't call him anti-Semitic, won't spend all that money to ruin him because they're the kingmakers in this country, or one of the kingmakers. Now they got to compete with Ukraine and the Nazis. Really, they're all one and the same. It's all colonial theft projects of killing colored people for their land, occupying them, and then just implementing the policies and the atrocious maneuvers that they develop outside of the country back to the country. That's why we see the police, they get decorated with military weaponry. They use the same tactics they use in terror states. Really, we're the terrorists. We got CIA agents refining their techniques over in other countries so they can bring it back here, bring it back home. Um, yeah, so it's just like all that shit needs to be overthrown. all the companies profiting off of this, they need to be out of business. Um, yeah, just end all the corporate theft. That's why I'm just waiting for our military to learn after Niger's and overthrow our masters. I would like to see RFK Jr. as president. I would like to see him as president. I mean, assuming that you got someone like Cornel West dealing with Israel, or you got like just someone who's actually critical of Israel. Anybody who's just like not kissing their ass. Uh, but yeah, that's like the one issue that just like it chaps my ass to hear him talk about. Um, but yeah, when it comes to like all that corporate shit, yeah, I'm right there with him. I just don't want Biden to win. Does anybody? And this is why it was extremely difficult after the 2020 election. So many people were getting shut down because you look at like the election breakdown, right? I saw a lot of people with Trump bumper stickers, Trump shirts, "Make America Great Again" hats, all that shit. All right, then I'm not supporting Trump at all. Definitely saw a lot more Bernie stuff. I was a bigger supporter of Bernie, even though he stabbed us in the back. He's a piece of shit. He revealed himself. He's supporting all these war packages, not fighting for Medicare for all in a pandemic. He's proven himself to be a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. But did anybody see like Joe Biden shit? Anybody see like someone really actually supporting Joe Biden? Aside from the people who were literally paid to go out and support Joe Biden. I saw one bumper sticker. It was like Bernie 2016, Bernie, and then they xed it out and it said, "Okay, fine, I'll support Hillary." Like that. That's the enthusiasm I saw for Hillary. I didn't even see those stickers come back in 2020. Nobody I know, no one I saw supported Joe Biden except for like only time I saw bumper Biden paraphernalia was at like his rallies where the people were literally paid to like amp him up, and yet and still somehow he got more votes than Barack Obama, got more votes than Trump previous years, and it's just like no one questions it. This motherfucker who has no enthusiasm in real life has more votes than both presidents to run for office, and yeah, we're just supposed to accept that. You can't if you question that narrative, you were taken off the internet. Uh, but yeah, that was pretty disheartening. Now they're allowing you to question it on sites like YouTube, but for the longest time you couldn't. And even before Biden ran, I was talking about Election Guard, which is Microsoft's creation. It's how they maintain safe and fair elections, and yeah, they were heavily invested in this presidency because they get so many uh, uh, grants from the federal government, like welfare checks. The richest man in the world, one of the richest people in the world, Bill Gates, gets so many welfare checks from the government. And his company, like these people, they're just dependent on like spying on us because they get Pentagon, CIA contracts, like to the tunes of billions of dollars. This is the level of fascism that they're engaged in, and yeah, and they're making sure that we have a safe and fair election. And it just so happens that the guy they really want to see in office got in there, and he got in there with more votes than anybody, and you can't question it. Tell me that's not like a little suspicious. Just a little taste. Uh, I know Biden is guilty of something. He's guilty of many things. And it's not just one damn thing, it's one damn thing after the other. He's a piece of shit. Should be locked up. I'm black, but my grandmother is Native American. But I never got why they classified us Native Americans. Shouldn't it be something like Native, whatever the country used to be called? Turtle Island. I'm a Turtle Islander myself. Like I said, I was born in America, but in some strange anomaly, I'm not American. Don't have free speech, so I'm a Turtle Islander. Um, I'm here to overthrow this corrupt government. Pretty much any colonial state government, government created by one of the European powers. We were created by British colonialism. Same as Australia. Um, Same as Israel. Um, Israel, they learned from our mistake. They created their own little narrative. Like they made themselves the victims. But technically, they signed over their Palestinian property, Palestinian land, 1917 during the Balfour Declaration, right? And they needed Hitler to come to power, so the Brits funded, and as well as American corporations funded the rise of Hitler. He was handpicked by Prescott Bush, who Bush, if you don't know his grandkids, one of them became the head of the CIA, then the president, then his son became the president right after him, like a beautiful little monarchy, where it's just like power is handed down. It's just kind of like when we see uh, Bill Clinton handing the presidency to Hillary Clinton, and next it's going to be a Hunter Biden, Chelsea Clinton ticket. That's what they want to push for 2030, probably. Um, but yeah, it's just we got to stand up, and we got to end this. Well, gerontocracy is how Glenn Greenwald refers to it, and he was chronicling how we used to refer to Soviet Union's government as gerontocracy because they were run by these extremely old people, clinging on to power, destroying the country and the world because they weren't going to live long in the world, and they just wanted as much money and power until they died. And that's Joe Biden. The cheese slid off of his cracker decades ago. I think that was heavily influenced by drug usage. I do think he smokes crack, not a crackhead, because it's not limited to crack. Also, zombie drug, fentanyl, all that stuff. Mitch McConnell had a mental breakdown. Looked like he had a stroke on stage. Couldn't talk. Meanwhile, he spent the overwhelming majority of his life making Americans' lives worse. More specifically, starting in Kentucky but spreading out to national policies that affect the rest of the world because he's for every war. Evil people, evil motherfuckers. I would feel bad for him if he wasn't so evil. If he didn't spend like his prime years just making the world worse, killing people who he didn't know, wasting our money on destructive wars that make us less safe. But yeah, we are a fascist country now. It's been like that for a while. It's been like that for a while. I think some people just don't understand what fascism is. Fascism is when the corporations collaborate with the state. It's been several decades where we've been spending more money on corporate welfare than helping, your average person survive. And we're talking about like over 40, almost 50% of the homeless population has jobs, right? And then a big chunk of the rest of those people who don't have jobs, they're either disabled or children, right? And now kids are getting jobs as well, dangerous jobs. There was a kid who just died butchering animals. Um, yeah, so it's probably more than 50% of the homeless people have jobs. Um, yeah, and it's just like we don't spend any money to help them. All the money goes to the corporation, the rich people who already have more money than they could ever spend. And I got a meeting. Well, it's going to be a town hall meeting to discuss rent control tomorrow. I went to the first meeting earlier in the month, and they preliminarily shot it down 3-2. Just common basic rent control, and I spoke. I was just like, we need to just go a little further. Um, no corporation should be able to own property. Period. End. Like we need to start running these corporations out of town. Stop subsidizing them. In the fascism, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about corporations have the ability to make you go homeless. You know, they know they're not, that you don't have enough money to pay the rent that they're charging, because they're the ones who are paying you those non-livable wages to begin with, while they extort way more money than they could ever spend. They become hundred billionaires while they pay you a wage that won't even allow you to survive. You know, and they know you can't survive. That's not just fascism; it's evil. And the people who come up with this kind of shit, they should be locked up. They should not be able to continue to control you. But you know, they buy up our government, and there's very little we could do. I mean, through the traditional mechanisms that we have been told we're supposed to use to fight back. So that's where, you know, Niger and France come to mind, because they step outside of those traditional mechanisms. They create their own holler mechanisms. They go into the fucking businesses that are destroying their country and their communities, and they put the fear of God in them, fear of the people in them, and that's where we need to be. And when you think of any movement in the United States, whether it's Abraham Lincoln, he didn't free the slaves. He said that if he could whip the South in the line without like ending slavery, he would. But it was just like there were movements to end slavery. You know, a lot of people like Frederick Douglass, John Brown. Well, they were fighting back. They were, you know, John Brown literally. You know, he was like killing slavers. Nat Turner as well. You know, they had like slave rebellions, and yeah. So it was like they want you to think it's one person, one president was kind enough to do something. No, the president was forced by the hand of the people. Same with FDR. FDR was locking people in internment camps, right? His grandparent, his granddad, where he gets the Delano side from, he was a drug dealer in China, right? He was they got rich dealing opium. Um, he was more so about upholding, you know, his class, until we had like unions coming together. Unions were stronger than they've ever been since, and they were forcing him to create common sense policies um, that provided protections for the workers. Same with JFK. He was being forced. You know, they had like civil rights movements, and they had all these uh, um, uh, people who were there to disturb the status quo, and we need to just recreate those. In other countries, they're onto it. We just need to uh, I would say follow their lead, be inspired by what they're doing, and like we need to like go further. We need to create our own shit, but we definitely need to come together. And if you haven't checked out Revolution the musical, that's the music to revolution too. So go check it out. It's a link on my website, NatesVlogs.net. And Nate, hope all is well. All is well. I'm definitely feeling blessed and highly favored. And I'm also feeling like it's wrap up time. 'Cause I'm running out of time on this particular platform, and I got uh, other plans. So yeah, I'm just gonna get off before it kicks me off. So, but thank you guys for showing up. Uh, Remember, democracy uh, is a requires participation. It's not a spectator sport. Um, so get out there, get involved, make some shit happen. We need to follow France in this year, and I look forward to the revolution. Let's revolve together. Toodles.